July 19th is Gengar's Community Day. The Community Day move is going to be Shadow Punch, and people want to know just how good is Shadow Punch Gengar going to be in Pokemon Go? Well, as far as raids are concerned, Shadow Punch is not really a raid attack. It's not very good. Shadow Ball, way better. But in PvP, Shadow Punch is pretty insane. I mean, if you've ever faced a Huanter in the Great League, I think you're already pretty aware of just how crazy Shadow Punch is on these Glass Cannon Ghost Pokemon. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you a light analysis, letting you know just how good Shadow Punch Gengar is going to be in the Great League, Ultra League, and Master League PvP. And also give you some tips as far as IVs are concerned as well, so you can break down oh man, which Gengar is going to be the best Gengar, I don't know. And then for funsies at the end, I'll let you guys know about Mega Gengar's predictive performance in PvP as well. So when it comes to the Great League, Gengar is directly comparable to Huanter. They're effectively the same Pokemon. The only fast move they're going to want to use is going to be Shadow Claw. For the most part, they're absolutely going to want to use Shadow Ball, and then Shadow Punch is the bait maneuver. The only reason why we know off the top of our heads that Gengar is going to be so good in PvP with the Shadow Punch is because we already know that Huanter is good in PvP with the Shadow Punch. Now, if you look at the stats more closely here on PvPoke, you can see that Gengar actually has a higher stat product than Huanter does. Typically, a higher stat product Pokemon will perform better than a lower stat product Pokemon, so that would suggest that Gengar would be a better Pokemon than Huanter. The reason why it has a higher stat product is because it has a lower attack set. Attack set has a higher weight in PvP, so you're able to fit more stats in if you have a lower attack stat. They have roughly the same stamina. Gengar has a higher defense stat. Now, if you are familiar with PvP stats, you will remember that a higher attack stat, however, will allow you to get charge move priority in a mirror matchup, CMP, if you will. So if you throw a charge move at the same time as the other guy does, the person with the higher attack stat is going to land theirs first. If you compare these two Pokemon together, you can see that using the default stats on PvPoke, Huanter wins the 0 shield because it's able to throw and land that charge move to get the KO in, but because of the improved defenses, Gengar is able to take the other wins. However, it is important to note that these are the default stats, so these aren't the best possible PvP IV spreads for the Great League. So if you maximize them to the low attack stat, high defense, high HP. If you want more information about PvP IVs, link up above and in the description to my video explaining this to you guys in a simple way. But if you give them their best stat product, so the best possible Huanter, the best possible Gengar for Great League PvP, then you can see that their fight actually evens out. They are feinting on the fast move against each other, so it's a tie. Huanter will still win that 0 shield, but aside from that, it's going to be a tie. So with that all said, Huanter and Gengar are functionally similar when it comes to Great League PvP. Key difference with the Gengar, beyond the stat product of course, is going to be in its moveset. Instead of having Shadow Ball or Shadow Punch, it could have Dark Pulse, Focus Blast, Psychic, Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave. Many of these attacks are attacks that Huanter also has, but Gengar does have that variety. Of these moves, the most significant one is going to be the Focus Blast, but as far as Great League PvP is concerned, the majority of things that you'd want to do with Focus Blast can already be done with Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball can do more things in general than Focus Blast can, so this is very likely going to be the bread and butter moveset in the Great League. So same idea as Huanter. Now when you get to the nitty gritty of it though, you compare specific matchups and all that kind of jazz, Huanter does end up coming out ahead. Two things that it comes out ahead on are going to be the Registeel matchup and the Altaria matchup. Because it does have that higher attack stat, it is able to get KOs in that Gengar cannot get. Most notably, the 1 shield against the Registeel is something that Huanter can do that Gengar cannot. However, these are very specific situations when it comes to Altaria and Registeel, so for the most part, they're going to be functionally the same Pokemon. But if I had to have the choice between Huanter or Gengar in the Great League, I'd probably want to side with the Huanter instead of the Gengar. So it's very good. I'd still want to build one for the Great League because just like there's a niche matchup that Huanter is slightly better than the Gengar in, there could be a matchup in the future that Gengar can do better than the Huanter, where you'd want to have the Gengar then. So it's good to build this stuff now, not later. Now when it comes to the 1 shield Registeel matchup in particular, Huanter is going to want to have a slightly higher attack stat. So here I have the max stat product, the best IV spread for the Huanter against the Registeel, and here's the 11-15-15, so it's the best possible raid caught Registeel that you'd be up against in this. And you'd want to have an attack stat here, shows you right here in PvPoke, of at least 160.66. And you can see that that's ever so slightly above the best PvP spread. It's like a 1 attack stat with high defense, high HP, so it's very likely that your Haunter is going to be able to reach this. Now if you want to get a little bit more specific with it, I would consider like the 4-15-15 at level 23 to be the best possible Registeel that you'd expect to face in the Great League. And when it comes to that, then you're going to want to have an attack stat of 164.27, which once again is pretty easy to meet for Haunter, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just keep this in the back of your mind when you're deciding on building a Haunter. I mean, it is Gengar Community Day, but those Ghastlies are spawning, man, and you can make one of them a Haunter if you want to, for a good Great League Haunter, right? So to wrap up the Great League, both Haunter and Gengar are really good. I'd say Haunter right now is slightly better than the Gengar in performance, but both are equally good. If you have the opportunity to build both of them on Community Day, I'd build both of them, just so you have the option of using Gengar should it become more important in the future. Or if you want to whip out that spicy Haunter Gengar strat, double ghost, they'll never see it coming. Moving on to the Ultra League, Gengar is actually a pretty interesting choice with the Shadow Punch, just because there really hasn't been a Pokemon quite like Gengar in the Ultra League. Glass Cannon Pokemon, it's got the Nuke Attack, which is the Shadow Ball, or possibly the Focus Blast, but then it's got that low energy cost bait move with the Shadow Punch. So I think it will be an interesting Bait Master Supreme when it comes to the Ultra League. Now there's no point in being a Bait Master Supreme if you don't already have some solid confirmed wins under your belt. And when it comes to the Shadow Ball set in particular, it has a pretty long list of wins. So much so I can't remember them off the top of my head, so I got a little list here. Yeah, so we got Dragon Breath Giratina, Giratina Origin Form, in the one shield at least. You got Cresselia, which is pretty huge. Charm Users, which is really nice. You can defeat the Articuno, which is nice as well. Venusaur, watch out man. Gengar Seer. Escavalier. Did we expect a counter user to do super good against the ghost type? You can add Poliwrath to that list as well. Melmetal also has to watch out for the guy. You can also take on Charizard and a long list of other Pokemon, but as far as like meta viable stuff that came off the top of my head here, those ones are ones that Gengar does good. Now of course with these victories, there are losses. Gengar can't do it all, man. And some of the losses are pretty heavy. I mean, for one, you have Shadow Claw Giratina, which is arguably the preferred Giratina in the Ultra League. So you'll lose to it, even with the Shadow Claw bait. But it's not like a big loss. You still hurt it a lot. It doesn't enjoy fighting you. And I think that comes up for a lot of matchups that Gengar ends up losing in an even situation. Like Swampert, another big Pokemon that it loses to. Nobody enjoys fighting Gengar. Gengar will at least leave them pretty bloody, so if you are using Gengar, it could work out really well as like a safe switch Pokemon. You lose the lead, you swap in Gengar. If they bring in Swampert or Giratina to try to counter you, they're not going to have a good time. Not at all. Now on the heavier side of the losses, we have normal type Pokemon, like Snorlax, Zangoose, Obstagoon. They just kind of rip Gengar a new one in the Ultra League, and you really can't do anything against them. Same goes for Alolan Muck, Dark-type Pokemon. Resists those Ghost-type attacks, hits back with super effective Dark damage. Gengar does not appreciate it. But when it comes to these Pokemon, you can overcome those matchups, flip the script on them with the Focus Blast. So when it comes to your Gengar, you have a personal choice to make. Do you want the Focus Blast Gengar, or do you want to use the Shadow Ball Gengar? Your opponent's not going to know until they know which attacks that you have, so you do have that advantage. And if you are using it as a safe swap Gengar, you'll bring it on in. They bring in a normal type Pokemon to supposedly counter it. They don't know you have the Focus Blast. Maybe they don't even think you have the Focus Blast, and you do, you win. So I think that definitely works in Gengar's favor when it comes to it being a viable Ultra League Pokemon with the Shadow Punch. Because even though you do lose a significant amount of matchups because you're going with Focus Blast instead of Shadow Ball, you still have the Shadow Punch. You can still get shields from them because of that, because once again, they don't know until they know what move you actually have. So definitely a very deadly Pokemon in the Ultra League. Now, despite all of Gengar's swag when it comes to Ultra League PvP, I don't think it's going to be like a top banana type Pokemon. I mean, the best moveset for it is a meta call, which means 100% of the time it's not going to work out super well for you. So if you go into the fights and you're like, all right, frickin' everybody and their mom is running Obstagoon right now as like a safe swap. So if I swap in my Gengar, they bring that guy in, I got Focus Blast, the matchup is done. If you were to play it like that, have that, knowledge, that risk, that dice roll, algorithm, please be in my favor. Well, then Gengar could work out really well. That said, if the algorithm works against you, Gengar's going to have a pretty miserable time, so definitely a risky Pokemon. I think it's worth building and trying out, but it might not be like your go-to ace-in-the-hole type Pokemon that you can bring in every single fight and expect to do well with. Now when it comes to Ultra League PvP IVs for the Gengar, once again, the low attack stat, high defense, high HP is going to be the way to go for it. There really aren't many situations where you're going to want to have that higher attack stat. The only one I could really find that is significant is against a Best Buddy Registeel. If you have a 203.92 attack stat, which isn't that crazy, but it is getting up there, to be honest. That is a kind of a, you're sacrificing a lot of HP and defense to get there kind of attack stat. With that, you can beat it in the 2-shield situation, but you have to bait it. You have to land the Shadow Ball, and you have to, bait those shields with the Shadow Punch there. So definitely not the most consistent, pickup in the universe. But if you do land that Shadow Ball and you do have that attack stat, well then you can flip the script on the 2-shield against the Registeel. Aside from that, I really didn't notice anything else. I mean, there is the Poliwrath. If you have 201.63 attack stat, then you can straight Shadow Claw it in the 1-shield. In the 1-shield, it can Ice Punch you down if you fail the Shadow Ball baits. But if you got that high attack stat, then I guess you can just Shadow Claw it. So that one's a little bit more reasonable to reach, more of a consolation prize type attack stat. But you definitely want to go for the high stat product, the low attack, high defense, high HP when it comes to the Gengar in the Ultra League. And if you want more information on PvP IVs, once again, link in the description to my video on that. Makes it super clear for you and points you in the direction of some good resources to find your own PvP IVs, so you don't have to scratch your head and keep hitting enter on PvPoke and seeing how it works out. And then on to the Master League. When it comes to the Master League, Gengar ain't making it. It's not good. Too low. Stats too low. However, in the Premier Cup, it can actually do pretty good work. So up here I have the infographic for my Premier Cup 101, link up above in the description if you want to check out that video, learn up on how to do better in the Premier Cup. It's in that glass cannon corner there, so with the fire types. If you played the Premier Cup, you don't really see the fire types that often, and there's a reason for that. It's because they're very fragile. They work in a very meta-specific kind of way, and if they don't get that specific type of matchup in, then they really don't do a whole lot very well. When it comes to Gengar, Gengar does have that devastating Shadow Ball, so it can hurt a lot of stuff in the Premier Cup should it land the Shadow Ball. But as far as consistency goes and actually winning a lot of matchups are concerned, once again, just like in the OG Master League, the stats are pretty low on it. So it ends up, not doing a whole heck of a lot. One big L, I'd have to say, for the Gengar when it comes to this, is it loses against Togekiss. The other Fire-type Pokemon in this group here, they can beat Togekiss in the 2-shield situation. Gengar can't. Its stats are so low that it gets charmed down. So I feel like if your charm counter can't deal with Togekiss in the 2-shield situation, what's it really doing? So I don't have a whole lot of faith in Gengar when it comes to the Premier Cup, but it will be a fun and interesting option. Snorlax. Yeah, Snorlax is kind of everywhere in the Premier Cup, so good luck, buddy. Good luck, Gengar. And finally, the bonus round. Mega Gengar. How good is it in PvP? I already did a video a while back covering the best Mega Pokemon using their predictive stats in Great League, Ultra League, and Master League PvP. So if you want to watch those videos, link in the description to them. When it comes to Mega Gengar in particular, it only really has a lot of swag in the Master League. For ease of reference here, this is my Master League Mega Evolution article on GamePress. Who are the top 5 Master League Megas? So if you want to reference this article, link in the description as well. And yeah, Mega Gengar is number 5 in that top 5 list. It's pretty good. And the main thing it does really well is it beats Togekiss. It beats Togekiss in the 2-shield situation. Normal Gengar can't do that. This guy can. And of course, Mega Gengar is absolutely going to want to have that Shadow Punch to do well as well. So pretty hype for the Mega Gengar here. And then of course beyond that it beats Steel type Pokemon. So it beats Togekiss, it beats Melmetal. You better believe that it beats Metagross, man. I mean Ghost type damage on a Psychic Pokemon. And it can also beat the Giratinas, which is really nice. Most ground type Pokemon and of course all fighting type Pokemon are going to fear this thing. So yeah, Mega Gengar all over the place, a pretty good Pokemon. And then further beyond that, it does good against the other good Mega evolutions on this particular tier list at least, using their predictive stats, assuming they keep the same movesets, etc. But yeah, no, so Mega Mewtwo Y is going to be insane, like super insane attack stat, just obliterates stuff with Psy Strike. Mega Gengar beats it. You got Mega Gardevoir. Yeah, you thought Togekiss was the only charm user that Mega Gengar beats? Yeah, Mega Gardevoir, better charm user than Togekiss, and it beats it as well. And then finally, the Mega Lucario, the anti-meta god, potentially, depending on how the stats work out. Yeah, fighting type Pokemon, Mega Gengar. So, yeah, if you get the best possible IVs you can on your Mega Gengar, when it comes to the Master League at least, you want to have all of your stats to be perfect, so like a hundo if you can. If you are blessed on Gengar Community Day, yeah, try to get that hundo with the Shadow Punch, and if you can evolve it in the future into Mega Gengar, then this guy's going to be really sweet in Master League PvP. And that's basically it. When it comes to Shadow Punch Gengar, it's pretty good. It's not the best thing out there in the universe, but it's a solid, interesting option for Great League, Ultra League, and Master League PvP. So having spreads across the board could be pretty nice. Once again, when it comes to Great League and Ultra League, you're going to have that low attack stat, high defense, high HP. When it comes to the Master League, yeah, hundo if you can. Like, close to hundo as possible, right? Now, if you got any questions on this content, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. If you enjoyed this content and you want to see more like it, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. And then just for funsies at the end, I'll let you know about Mega Gengars.